Dooney and Burke has been the standard of luxury for American handbags for over 45 years. The brand, based in Connecticut, has an obsession for craftsmanship, quality European leathers and hardware, and a mission to carry your essentials everywhere life takes you. If you're going to invest in one bag this season, make it a Dooney and Burke. Dooney and Burke handbags are designed with timeless styling and crafted to last. Each handbag and accessory is handcrafted using premium European leathers and hardware with functional details that accommodate your lifestyle, like extra zip pockets, metal feet, and adjustable straps. For over 2 decades, Dooney and Burke has worked with their European tannery, refining and perfecting its most recognizable leather, and is proud to introduce the new all-weather leather 3 collection. Dooney and Burke's 20th century classic steps into the 21st century and is more refined than ever before. I've been wearing the domed satchel. It's got a super cool vintage look that is totally on trend, and the quality of the materials is unmatched. It's made with this beautiful smooth pebbled leather from Italy that's lightweight, feels great to the hand, and is going to be long lasting. This is a major evolution to the vintage all-weather leather collection that Dooney and Burke is known for. I also love the versatility of this collection. I can wear it with a pair of jeans when I run to the store, but I can also dress it up with heeled boots when I want to look my best. Check out Dooney and Burke's newest, most exciting collection at dooney.com/ratchet. For 20% off your first order, visit dooney.com/ratchet and use the code RATCHET before April 30th, 2022. When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Did you know that your internet service provider knows every single website you visit? And what's worse is they can sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who will use your data to target you. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anyone. Now, I use ExpressVPN very often because I'm on the West Coast and I want to catch my TV on the East so I can watch it with everyone else and not see spoilers. So if you're like me and you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/ratchet today. Use my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/ratchet, and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet. I love Thrive Cosmetics. Their high-performance beauty and skincare products are made with clean, skin-loving ingredients. They are certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free. My favorite is their best-selling Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. It's ultra-lengthening, eye-opening mascara that lasts all day without clumping, smudging, or flaking. Thrive also has a defying gravity eye-lifting cream. It instantly lifts, tightens, and brightens skin around your eyes with line-smoothing hydration. What I also love about Thrive Cosmetics is their bigger-than-beauty promise. For every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help women thrive. I mean, women emerging from homelessness, surviving domestic abuse, fighting cancer, and more. Now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/ratchet. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/ratchet for 15% off your first order. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable with Demetria L. Lucas. I have good news. Actually, I have great news and good news. Good news, the merch is coming. The shop is back open. At least the samples for my shirts have been printed. I picked them up last night. Allegedly, everything is on the way to my warehouse right now, so I'm super, super happy. So the merch drop is soon forthcoming. I don't have a date, but at least I have all the merch now, so I'm happy about that. In better news, I watched that episode of Insecure that everyone's been talking about nonstop since it aired on Sunday night. If you are not watching Insecure, or if you have not seen the most recent episode of Insecure, turn this podcast off. It's all spoilers. I was so perturbed by the episode. I had so many thoughts. I called up one of my friends, a mommy-bestie author, writer, Helena Andrews-Dyer. She's a journalist and editor at the Washington Post, and she's also the author of a couple books. Her first one was Bitch is the New Black. That's how we met many, many, many moons ago. I think her book came out in 2010, and mine, A Belle in Brooklyn, came out in 2011. So we met through our books, and as it would turn out, we had a lot in common, including a lot of friends in common. There's a guy that she talks about in her book, not as somebody she dated, but as a guy that she knew. He's also in my book. We figured that out years later. But she's one of my really good friends, and she's also an Insecure super fan. So I asked her, I was like, girl, I can't do an episode to talk about Insecure on my own because there's so much to talk about and there are so many perspectives, and I just didn't want to have just mine. I asked her to come on the podcast. I thought we were going to talk like a brief overview, but we got into the nitty gritty of damn near everything. I think the only thing we didn't talk about with this episode is the death theme that's been running through this season. I'm so afraid somebody's about to die. But everything else in terms of Lawrence and Condola and the hero of this episode, Kelly, and where the hell were Molly and Issa at the baby's first birthday? We got into all of that. So I am going to stop talking on my own, and I am going to bring in the Helena. Hello, my love. It's so good to have you on the phone today.
Hi, I'm so happy to hear your voice.
I haven't seen you or talked to you in forever. Like, we are on Facebook all the time, so I feel like I know what's going on with you, but I haven't actually, seen you.
No.
Or heard you.
Ma'am. I have definitely had a whole baby since the last time I talked to you, I think.
No.
You've seen Robin?
Fuck. No. The last time I saw Sally, she wasn't even talking.
Right.
Damn.
Ma'am. And yeah. And now the second one is Sally 2.0 is a whole 2 years old. So I got a 4.
No.
Yes.
So, I mean, okay, like a global pandemic did happen. But like, what about the 6 months before? Oh, I was gallivanting. Oh, and I moved to LA.
Yes, you absolutely moved to LA.
And then gallivanting. And then when I'm in DC, I'd be running the streets.
Girl.
I don't want to bring my in the streets mess to your happy family home. Like,
first of all, like, I can be in the streets until about 9 p.m.
Until 9 p.m.
Then I have to go to bed.
Like, go to bed. Go home to your husband and children.
Okay, but I can do brunch. Mama can do brunch.
Okay.
And not fall asleep.
Okay. But the thing is, like, when we do brunch, I don't want to have like a girls' brunch. I want you to bring the babies so I can like see them. I don't want you to escape the children. You're like, no.
No, ma'am. No.
No. Really? Well, how am I supposed to see the kids?
You could. I'll bring pictures.
Wow.
I'll bring some video.
Wow. So I'm never going to meet Sally, is what you're saying, or Robin?
No. We're going as Sally. So Sally turns 5 in April. And as soon as she can get that good vaccine, we are going to bring them over to Casa de Lucas.
Yay!
You can see them, so your parents can love up on them. But yeah, she's gonna get that good vaccine.
No, they can't come to my parents' house. Bringing girl children in that house, they acted up. You know Jen Pierre, right?
I don't know her personally. I don't know if we've met in real life.
Okay. So Jen brought her daughter over to the house, and admittedly, like her daughter, I look like her husband, and her daughter looks exactly like her husband. So her kid looks like me, and my parents acted a whole ham-ass fool. Like,
yeah, that grandparent energy just pent up. It's got to release somewhere.
You know what? Yes, let's bring Robin and Sally by. Let's bring 2 little black girls by and let my parents play with them and get it out of their system. And you might get free babysitters, actually.
Ma'am, say less.
I'm tempting you with a good time.
Right.
Say less. But the reason that I wanted to speak with you today, other than like I haven't talked to you in forever and you're one of my favorite people, is that, you're like a super fan of Insecure in the same way that
I
I am.
am.
And last night's episode was much on much on much and a lot more.
Oh my God. I loved it.
I loved it because I had like this visceral, enraged reaction to so much of it. And I don't even have
Exactly.
kids or like a baby daddy or like a relationship to be conflicted or have conflict about. And like, I'm just angry.
Right. But it's like you don't need all those things to feel so upset at everyone. I mean, for me, definitely more upset at Lawrence than I am at Condola. But just anyone who has been in any situation with another human being where you are both just literally jagged rocks crashing up against one another. This was that entire half hour.
Yes. And it was painful to watch.
Yes. Very painful.
I see a lot of people online like going really, really hard on Condola. And I was like, do y'all not see Lawrence? Y'all don't see anything that he's doing?
I'm so not here for the Condola hate. Like, and I went back. I went, as you say, I'm an Insecure super fan. I did some deep cuts. I went back to the Thanksgiving episode from last season.
Mm-hmm.
That was the episode where one, people forget that Condola is divorced. She was somewhat newly divorced when her and Lawrence started first dating, right? I think she was like a year and a half out of a divorce.
Okay.
And he wanted to come to like a Friendsgiving she was hosting with like her good friends. Cause he had asked her what her plans were. And she was like, oh, well, actually, I'm having this thing. And he like invited himself to it. She didn't invite him because they were always in this weird, like, are we serious? Are we not? She clearly knew that he had feelings for Issa that he didn't even know he had, all of those things. And so in that episode specifically, which talks about pressure, and they had a conversation about pressure. Like he was like, well, why didn't you invite me in the first place? And she was like, well, I didn't want to pressure you. I didn't want to feel pressure. They were all there. They were never all the way in it, right? Even then, fast forward to the season finale last season, and she comes up pregnant, and even then people were hating on Condola. Like she was trying to tear Lawrence and Issa apart. Like, oh, why does she want this baby? Because it's a whole baby. Like that was her choice. She said to him when they had that argument then where he was like, no, this isn't the right time. And she was like, that's just not an option for me. Like I maybe wasn't ready before with her ex to have a baby, but I wanted a family. And, this isn't ideal for me either. She's not excited about the situation either. But she was like, listen, this is how I'm getting my baby. Like everybody doesn't get their baby in the quote unquote, fantasy way they thought they were going to get their baby as a kid. Like this is how she's getting her baby, right? And even in that conversation, because in the hate that we see on Condola now, folks are like, oh, well, she said he could be as involved as she wanted to be. I went back to that conversation. The woman is crying. She has tears in her eye, right? She's literally saying to him, listen, I know this isn't an ideal situation for you. It's not necessarily what you want, right? And he told her straight up it wasn't what he wanted. He asked her in that conversation, is it mine, right? So she kind of was giving him an out, but the woman has tears in her eyes during that conversation. She didn't come at him on some old, like, here's a paper, sign away your parental rights. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't come in this situation wanting to be a single mom, but she also didn't want to put a bunch of quote unquote pressure on a man that she knew didn't want to be with her. And this wasn't necessarily what he wanted. Fast forward to now, we're a whole pregnancy. And what makes me upset, which I didn't understand from the first freaking scene when he walks into that labor and delivery room and he's just now meeting her mom. He's just now meeting her. Like she was a whole pregnant for 36 weeks, right? Like what? Was there no baby shower? Like they never sat down and had coffee? I'm so confused by that. Like how that happened. Yes, he lived in San Francisco, but this whole time he never came down and engaged with the pregnant Condola. That pissed me off.
Well, he was off dating and fucking, which apparently everyone
Right.
thinks is okay, which I was like,
Right.
seriously? One thing that really stands out to me is that if I recall correctly, and I didn't go back and watch the episode, but you did, so tell me, but I feel like Condola makes a reference to it in this episode where she says, you told me, keep me posted. So like he got the bare minimum information, and it made it seem like he was very clear that he didn't want to be that involved. and it seems like he wasn't involved because as you talk about, like, you know, they're like, you're just meeting the parents, there seems to be no baby shower, like, have you even texted or communicated with this woman at all? And it's like the baby came, and then he decided he wanted to be like super dad, at least on weekends. um
Exactly.
and he never communicated to her that, like, okay, I've changed my mind from keep me posted and I don't want to be involved to, like, now I want to be super involved. And so, like, she had an ideal or an idea of like what this pregnancy or what raising this baby was going to look like, and she was going to call all the shots because he wasn't involved, which is hard, but also comes with some perks, which means you can do what you want. You don't have to consult anyone. And then all of a sudden, he wants to be consulted and included, but he's never had a conversation with her about his mind switch, but he has all these expectations to be accommodated.
Exactly. It's very much, out of sight, out of mind, right? So when she's pregnant for a whole 10 months, and that's what really got me, I think what people forget, like, a pregnancy is a whole thing unto itself, right? That is when we were supposed to be prepping for this baby. And that is a time that's incredibly difficult too, especially for a first time mom. Your body is changing. You're trying to figure out how are you going to get this baby out of you? How, as a Black woman, you're going to make it out of a hospital alive,
That
right?
part.
Like all of that stuff is going on in her head. And from what we can see, he ain't been nowhere. He ain't been around. So all of a sudden when the baby's here, right? So there is physical, and like not just a belly, but there is literally like a human being, evidence of the responsibility you're supposed to have. Now all of a sudden he don't want to look like a deadbeat, right? He don't want to be that dude. He don't want to be the fuck boy that you know he probably is, or has the
Probably.
tendency. Let's say he has the tendencies, right? And so now, so it's more even. And what I found with that argument, especially when was having the conversation with his homeboy, who, and I love homeboy, it was more about him. It was never about her, what she's going through, the pressure she's under, how hard it is for her to do this. It was just like, oh, well, I can't be there for my son, and she didn't consult me on this, and she didn't consult me on that. So
You ain't been around.
right, right. And it's more about how he is feeling left out, and not, oh, what does the baby need? Because if that was the question, then what the baby needs is me in my presence. I need to get a transfer. I need to get another job so I can be in LA. He should have been doing this whole 9 months. Dude, what have you been doing this whole time?
Dating and fucking. We've established that.
Right, right. Exactly.
When I watched the episode last night, my first thought was like, damn, because it's so much confusion and hostility, and it's just this big knot, and I don't know how they untie it. But the first thing I wrote, and I was just like, yo, like, he's been out here dating and fucking like this whole time. And like, it's like it never occurred to him to like communicate with Condola, to create a parenting plan with Condola, since he changed his mind about wanting to be involved with the baby. It's like, you wanted to say so in this baby's name. You wanted the baby to have your last name. He was mad. He was like, she felt like she was doing me a favor. And I was like, well, she kind of was.
Yeah, she was. Ma'am, my name is Helena. Well, it's now Helena Andrews-Dyer, but I promise you it's Helena. My maiden name is Helena Andrews because I am my mother's child. Billy Joseph Combs, my father, rest his soul, was not around. And there was no way that woman was going to give me a last name that was different from hers when she was the one doing all of the things. So yes, she was doing him a favor by giving him, her son, his last name. Or she could have hyphenated it, who knows? But the fact that he felt so entitled, I love the scene, the doctor's appointment scene. It was so great because even the way that they start fighting, right? When they're talking about the baby's weight or whatever, and he's like, is there a problem? And she's like, I'm on top of it. And he's like, I'm just asking questions, right? It doesn't matter. You could have been married for 10 years. You're still going to have that type of conversation at that first doctor's appointment because it's stressful as heck, right? But then when he's on her, when they're walking to the car and he's on this whole like, oh, well, I am his father. And it's like, oh, word? Are you? What does that mean to you? Have you even investigated that? What does it mean being a father? Does that mean you get to come down here for 48 hours every week and feel like this quote unquote father, that you have this right to control what's going on? And I don't know. I think control is the wrong word. He wants an equal say without putting in equal time.
Equal work. Yeah. And I think that's what frustrated me the most.
Yes. Yes,
Because his
absolutely.
idea of fatherhood, like what you just said, it was like, did you actually think it was just like, I'm going to fly down here on weekends and like, hang out with my kid and that's it? But I think that is it. The last argument they had at her house, she was like, you don't call us. You don't call and check on him and his development. Like, you have no real involvement other than the weekend. Like, you didn't even
Yeah,
know we went to like the emergency room. And he was like, huh, what? And she was like, if I called you, what were you going to do? Because you're in a whole separate city. Like, are you going to take us?
exactly.
How?
And the thing is, there are people co-parenting that way, right? Well, who are co-parenting from, very far away. That's a thing. But again, for him, I think the real operating principle is this out of sight, out of mind, right? And you saw it when they did that montage, that split screen of how their lives are going. Like, Condola doesn't get to put down motherhood. She doesn't get to say, "Oh, okay, well, I'm off mommy duty today. Let me go turn up." Like, and he literally, and as she pointed out in that last scene, he gets to spend 4 days where he just doesn't even think about them, right?
Mhm.
Like, there are plenty of very involved fathers who might live far away, but they're texting every day. What's up? I know the schedule. I know little man has swimming. How does swimming go? Let me FaceTime. Let me do that. And it's clear he's not doing any of that shit. He's literally he hopped back on his flight, goes to San Francisco, lives his cute single life. And then at around, closing time on a Friday, he's like, oh, let me get back into dad mode now. Let me put my dad hat on.
I
Let me
mean, when he's
come.
not tired, when he's not tired.
Right. Right. When he doesn't have work, because
Yeah.
he the only parent in the history of the planet who also has a job and has to work. Because Condola has a whole job too. And with the United States horrible parental leave, like, I'm sure she has to go back to work very soon.
Yeah.
Like, so his whole, oh my, well, I have to work, that's why I can't make it down. Bruh, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I say the same thing to my husband sometimes. You know what I mean? He'll come home tired and I'll be like, you better get these babies. And he's like, oh, I just got in the door. No, nobody cares. These babies don't care. I don't care. No one cares. That's life. That's the parenting life.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very interesting. And that's part of the reason that I so wanted to talk to you as a mom, because I think some things that they're going through are just parents, new parents, like parents who've been in it for a minute, but just parenting stuff. Like, it's hard, you know?
Oh yeah.
You do know.
It is hard as I don't know what, especially the newborn stage, and especially when you are a young mom. I will say young dad too. Don't want to be, gender exclusive in any way. But when you are a young mom who had a baby that was in your belly and have all those hormones surging, it comes out, you're breastfeeding. Those first 3 months are so critical in terms of one, when after you leave the hospital, they're just like, here's this baby, have a good time. We'll see you in a week when you have the first doctor's appointment. But you go home, no matter how educated you are, no how prepared you are, no matter how much family help you have, no matter if you have a partner, a husband, whatever, the immense responsibility and pressure for those first couple months where literally you are just trying to keep that baby breathing and alive.
Oh.
It is so, so hard. There were nights literally where I was just like, one, you're up constantly because especially if you're breastfeeding, the baby has to eat every 2 to 3 hours,
What?
right? And yes, ma'am. And in those hours, it's like it doesn't even count how they're feeding. So literally, you're how long they're feeding. So you are up as mom every 2 hours. Every 2 hours, you are awake. Every 2 hours, right? So already you are severely, severely sleep deprived, and you're trying to get those snatches of sleep in between. You can't get them, and you're obsessed with this child, making sure that. I remember there were nights I would just like stare at Sally in the crib just to make sure she was breathing, because that's it. You are the person. There's no one's coming to save you.
Oh, like no one's
And
coming to save you, but you must save
no.
this child.
Exactly. And it's terrifying. And it doesn't matter how much support you have. It is really, really scary, especially as a new mom. Trust. Once our second came home, once Robin came home, I was like, oh, bet, take this baby. Let me take a nap. Let me do all these things, because you feel more comfortable in this situation. But those first couple months, which is about the time period, I think, in this episode, I think the baby's not but 3 or 4 months when they have that last big blow up. That's a really, really sensitive time. And he has like no concept of it. And that's why Tiffany's husband, I thought was so great at the birthday party when they had that fight where he's like, let me pull you aside, bro, because you're not doing this right. You don't know what you're doing. Like, you are adding all this pressure. You're making the situation way worse. But Lawrence really doesn't hear it because he's not thinking about what Condola is going through. Because honestly, I think he still resents her.
You think? Like, he flat out told her, like, you know, what do you say? You ruined my life. You something.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Blew up. You blew up my life.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't there. He wasn't there. That's not half his baby. Like my sister-in-law say, listen, as an adult with good health insurance, you are either trying to have a baby or you're not. So in that conversation they had last season when they found out they were pregnant, oh, I thought we were being careful. What are y'all, 18, 16? Like, you're either trying or you're not. Either somebody got snipped, somebody's on somebody's pill, somebody's on X, and you know, some things are just 99.9. I get it. But either you're trying or you're not.
No, right? I think like very often, like, I mean, because just sex is like so commonplace in our culture and we talk about it like it's just, you know, eating an apple, having sex. Like, I mean, I think people totally disassociate it from like creating life or potential to create life, or like every sexual opportunity is also a risk of creating a life. Exactly. Depending on your perspective. But people just do it like willy-nilly. And I'm just like, no, it's actually, you know, you could easily be Lawrence and Condola. Easy. Yo, like, because, you know, I don't have kids and I don't have plans to. That montage, that split screen was all the birth control I may ever need ever again in life. Like, ever if I'm just like, oh, you know, like, just, you know, it feels better. Just, you know, just the tip. No. No, there would be no slips, no close calls. Like, no, I'm good. Nope.
Ma'am, again, unless someone has been snipped, someone has gotten somebody's like tubal ligation, there is always a possibility. And what I loved about the episode is really how they treated those months and how they treated that time. Really real. Even Condola's body. Now, the actress who plays her, I think, is really postpartum. I think she actually really had a baby. So, and she looked like it, right? Even when he walked in right after birth, so often in movies and television from, let's say, even not even just 5 years ago, if you walked in the labor and delivery room with a new mom, she's no stomach, looking perfect, as if she never was pregnant or had a baby. And some people actually think that's what your body is going to look like. Some people actually think that. I remember after I had my first daughter and I was telling my assistant, or I was about to have my first daughter, I was telling my assistant, I was like, well, you know, right after you have a baby, you still look about 5 months pregnant. And she was like, what? Okay, this is a 20-year-old, right? She was like, what? Really? I was like, ma'am, where do you think all that stuff goes? Like the American educational system, especially when it comes to reproductive education and health. Like, literally, she was like, oh, really? I'm like, yes, ma'am. You just had a baby pushed out of your body. I might even look more pregnant at the end, bloated and all the things. And she just looked throughout the episode like a real person who had a baby.
I love Thrive Cosmetics. Their high-performance beauty and skincare products are made with clean, skin-loving ingredients. No parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. They are certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free. My favorite is their best-selling Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. It's ultra-lengthening, eye-opening mascara that lasts all day without clumping, smudging, or flaking. It mimics the look of lash extensions without damaging glue or expensive salon prices. Thrive also has a defying gravity eye lifting cream. It instantly lifts, tightens, and brightens skin around your eyes with line smoothing hydration. This cream instantly reduces dark circles and puffiness. So if you've had a long night the night before, no one will ever know. What I also love about Thrive Cosmetics is their bigger than beauty promise. For every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help women thrive. I mean, women emerging from homelessness, surviving domestic abuse, fighting cancer, and more. Now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/ratchet. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/ratchet. METICS.com/ratchet for 15% off your first order. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Relationships take work, especially the most important one you can have in your life, your relationship with yourself. A lot of us will drop anything to go help someone we care about. We'll go out of our way to treat other people well, but how often do we give ourselves the same treatment? A good therapist is the best way to invest in yourself. So this month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you that you matter just as much as everyone else does. And therapy is a great way to make sure you show up for yourself. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. Now, what I love most about BetterHelp, in addition to never having to go into a therapist's office, is that I can do it from anywhere, whether I'm home in LA or on the road in any city or any country. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Ratchet and Respectable listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/ratchet. That's BetterHelp.com/ratchet. Like, so in fairness to like your 20-something-year-old assistant, until like close friends of mine started getting pregnant, and I want to say like my early 30s, I didn't know anyone who'd been pregnant. So like, or was super close to. So I had no idea about like, I mean, I knew that like, you got pregnant, you gained weight, but the fact that you still had like a visible belly afterward, I didn't know.
Right. Most people don't know.
Yeah, because it's never shown, it's never seen. And like all like there's a whole bunch of things that like my pregnant friends start talking about like in regards to pregnancy. And I'd be like, wait, what?
Yes. Because people don't talk about it. Folks don't talk about it in general in mainstream because it's considered, who knows? I don't know, déclassé? Is it considered like impolite? Even though, I mean, everybody came out of a vagina, everybody got a mama, everybody came from a pregnant person.
Because people really knew they wouldn't be having babies.
Right. We should all know what happens and how real it is. And I think they showed that really well, especially in that mantra. I mean, she was doing all the things and she had her sister there. We didn't see her mom, even though shouts to Layla Rashawn because she was excellently cast.
Yes.
Even though we only saw her for like snippets, I'm really hoping we see her again.
Yes, I love her.
But, she had help. And I think, again, going back to the Condola hate, folks were like, well, she told him she could do it on her own. And I was like, I'm sure she thought she could until she actually had a baby, just like Lauren's friend said to him. It's like, everybody got a plan. It's a, famous Muhammad Ali line. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Punched in the face. Yeah.
Like, of course, I'm sure she thought she could do it on her own. She got a cute house. She has a great, she has a good job. Like, isn't that how she met them? Isn't that how she met Issa? Because they had like, were working together on that first event that she had done. Like, she's got a career. She's a woman who has a lot of her life together. So I'm sure she's thinking, okay, baby, I could do this, bet. And then the baby comes and you're like, oh shit, nobody told me it was like this. Nobody told me it would be this bad, because in those first couple months, it's actually really, really bad. There is, I think a friend that we have in common on Facebook, and she had posted, and I think it's an old article actually, because I've seen this bit of research repeated before, but the fact that parents who actually report like being happy, parents who actually like report happiness in parenthood are those in developed countries that have childcare. Right. It is so hard.
So not America is what you're saying.
Right. So not America. Right. It is so difficult just to like sit in the throes and joys of this miracle and blessing you have when literally your entire life, especially at the beginning in that early stage, is just inputting. It is just shitty diapers and throw up and hard tits and raw nipples and I can't literally take a shit, like literally, like it is so difficult just on your body, on your mental state, all those things. So this idea that on top of all that, just dealing with all that, just trying to survive, that she's supposed to be sitting down here making this, deciding on this co-parenting plan that clearly Lawrence isn't interested in deciding on. She's just like, listen, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to muscle through on my own. Like, it was the same conversation they had in that parking lot where he was like, oh, is this how it's going to be? You just going to make the schedule? And she's like, Negro, like I've been doing this whole time? Yeah. What's she going to wait for him? No.
Actually, I think she would have been between she, her sister, her mom, and whatever her supportive friend circle was. I think she would have figured it out with just being like the single mom with the support system thing. I think
Yes.
the pop up of Lawrence coming in and like, you didn't want to be bothered. So now I made these plans and now you want to come in and like derail the plans that I made when you didn't want to be bothered.
Right. And not be reliable.
And not be reliable. And like that part too. But it was just like he was really upset about like the baptism, and it's like, but you haven't been here and you didn't ever express, until the last minute that like, hey, I want to do this baptism and my parents are interested in whatever. Like, you didn't do that on an efficient timeline where she could plan. So she went ahead and made plans because you didn't mention anything. Like, the communication between the two of them sucks.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I think it's because, again, going back to the beginning of their relationship, they've always been in this weird, like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out situation. And I think the entire pregnancy they've dealt with, and the entire pregnancy and the baby being here, they've just dealt with it like, oh, we're just like figure it out on the fly type deal. And that's impossible. You can't do that. Y'all have a whole baby together. And if you're truly going to co-parent, which I don't think they've ever discussed, I think Condola has thought, all right, I am doing this on my own. She is approaching this like I'm doing this on my own, right? Because she doesn't want to be hurt by wanting to rely on someone who's iffy and who told her from jump, he ain't want this baby. He ain't want this
baby. So well, I guess like as a woman, like you never want to feel like, even though you and this man laid down together, y'all had sex, it was consensual, and now a baby is a result, right? But as a woman, you never want to feel like you're the chick that trapped somebody.
Yes. And she said that to him.
Yeah, like we'll pull that out on you like real quick on some like, you trapped me, like, because Lawrence, like, you whatever he said, ruined. We just talked about that. Like, you bombed my life or whatever he says. But it's like,
life. Yeah.
Like he didn't have any accountability whatsoever for his role in creating this life.
Yes.
Like, I was so mad at him in that whole situation. Like, he's delusional.
He's delusional, and he's just very like, and that goes back to the whole scene of him setting up that stupid ass crib.
I was like, who is that crib for? Because what baby is staying in this crib?
The stuffed animals? What are you doing in your bachelor ass, like, steel glass apartment?
A studio. It was a studio because you could see the bed from The Office. I was like, no. sir. And he would set up the crib like right in front of his office desk.
Girl.
I was like, well, so the newborn baby
while he working.
The newborn breastfed baby that lives like a flight away or a 6 to 7 hour drive, because I've driven that. So have you, I'm sure, a million times. Actually, have you? Because did you have a license when you lived here?
Me? No.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I've done the drive. I've been driven.
Bye.
I've been driven.
Bye. But okay, point. That's it, right? How was that baby getting to San Francisco? This newborn baby was gonna come. Like,
girl.
I'm like, you never
thought take a baby on a plane by himself. He's so dumb. And it just points back to his idea of the baby is very like the baby's a doll. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like he has no clue what it really takes. He's never spent time, from we could tell, with the baby overnight. And that's when they had that big blow up because he wanted to take the baby overnight, which, okay, I kind of get it. I mean, I don't kind of get it. Yes, you are the baby's father. Like, you want to spend time. But I'm surprised Condola even said yes to that. And again, I think she's trying to be very accommodating because she's got a black son. Like, who doesn't want their black son to be involved, to have a relationship with their father? Like, they mentioned it when they pointed to that at the christening or baptism that they had, where Lawrence's uncle's like, a black dad involved, showing up. And it's just like, I want to be like, yeah, showing up anyway. You got to do more than that. But
Yeah.
I feel like in the back of Condola's mind, she's wanting to be accommodating to Lawrence because she wants him to be involved in her son's life. Of course she does. That's thinking about the baby, even though I'm sure Lawrence annoys the heck out of her. She wants him to be involved in the baby's life. So he says, oh, can I still take him overnight? I know from my perspective, I'd have been like, you could stay over here. Like, you could stay here with the baby overnight and I can go get this good sleep and don't knock on the door. Let me sleep. But yeah, you're not taking my 4-month-old baby to, I don't know, Airbnb. Like, Negro, what? No. But I'm not going to stop you from wanting to come in and, get in here, help me, all of those things. But I would have done the same thing. I think a lot of people online were like, oh my God, and she all of a sudden changed her mind. Again, that newborn 3-4 month fog attachment bonding, there's nothing you can compare that to. And I think it was smart of the writers to make it so that the baby was fussy when he came in, and all she's thinking of, okay, the baby's upset. I'm not going to let my upset baby go to some weird place with a dude he don't hardly know.
No.
With Lawrence on this whole, well, I'm his father. Well, Negro, he don't know that.
Yeah.
Do the baby know?
He sees you on weekends. And again, like she said, she was like, you don't call, you don't check on us, you don't like, and like now I'm supposed to like turn over like my helpless their helpless infant to him.
Oh
like,
no, it's mine. That's all of her baby. And it was the same.
You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that.
You can.
It's there. It's
there. The same when they had the fight at Tiffany's. And this is what I'll say. What I thought was interesting about those moments, because a married couple would have that same problem. I promise you. A married couple would have that same problem. A mom and her newborn, that's her baby. Like, that's all of my baby. This baby was in my body in most situations. I do not want to, discredit moms who adopt or surrogacy or any of those things. This baby's in my body, came out. I am most likely breastfeeding this baby or doing all of the mental work to get the baby fed in those first couple months. And there are dads, again, married dads or, partners, co-parents who will say it's hard to figure out your place in those months, regardless of whether y'all together, regardless of whether you live, however many 1,000 miles away. It's hard to figure out your place as a man in that moment because the baby does need so much from mom and she is so attached and she's trying to bond and all of those things and trust. A married mom is saying the same thing. Oh, that's my baby. Give me my baby. Like, I would say that to my own husband. Give me my baby.
I feel like if you said that to your husband, he would flip. Because I know your husband. Your husband would flip if you called the babies my babies.
Oh, he would. He would. He absolutely would. I'll still say it, though. I would still say it, though. If my baby was upset and, I thought he was jiggling her, not holding her how she wanted to be held or all those things, give me my baby back. Give me my baby back. And that's a absolutely normal fight to have for new parents in that situation because you're still trying to figure it out. So it's hard that's the thing that I think was really interesting about their dynamic, because it's hard for anybody doing it. And then you add on all the other stresses that they had, all the other levels. He lives far away. They ain't even together. He ain't even want this baby. You add all those layers on top of the fact that they're just new parents in general. And of course it's going to blow up. Of course it's not going to go right.
How do they fix it? Can this be fixed?
I think it can. Like, again, and all these people are like, oh, he need to hire a lawyer. It's like, what? No, he don't. To do what? So he can take the baby by himself when in his stupid ass apartment, a dumbass crib? No, they need to sit. And I don't know if this doesn't exist or what. They need a co-parenting doula, somebody who's literally going to help them sit down and say, and Black folks, sometimes they say they need to talk to their pastor, whoever that is.
A therapist, right? A mediator, somebody. Because somebody.
Guide. Yes, it is somebody. And they have to decide what is this? Are we going to be in this for real? Do you really want to be a co-parent? Because if that's the case, you, Lawrence, need to make some different life decisions.
Like move back to LA?
Like move back to LA. Because that's where, and listen, I have friends that you probably know, I'm not going to call out people by name, but I have friends who were in who have been in a similar situation, like had a baby with someone that they might have been with at some point.
I know you're talking about. Right off the top of my head, I was like,
You
oh,
know what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Who weren't with when the baby came. And so but they sat down like adults and were like, hey, we want to co-parent. What's the deal? And people moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people moved. And it might not have been the person you expect to move, right? It's whoever has the most support. You figure it out. You figure out whatever the formulation is for you. Who has the most family support in what place? Who has the better job prospects? Whose job has the better insurance? Whatever it is, right? Figure it out. But first you have to decide, what are we going to do? Are we truly going to be co-parents? If that is the goal, we want to be quote unquote 50-50. And I say that quote unquote because nothing is totally 50-50, right? But if we really want to both have the decision-making power in this, then what are we going to do? Is someone going to move because someone needs to move, right? And then from there, how does this work? What are all the things we have to discuss? What religion is this baby going to be? Are we going to do daycare? Are we going to do nanny share? Like all of these things that normally you would discuss with your partner, they have to discuss together. It can't be like, oh, well, she made all these decisions and I'm just like backing them up. Or she made all these decisions and I'm going to resent them because I didn't bring up what I thought it should be. They really have to decide. And I think it's going to end up him moving back to LA. I think it just can't be any other way. It doesn't make any sense for it to go any other way. And honestly, I don't know why his mama ain't sat him down and had a conversation. His dad, I feel like in the last season, he might have sat and had a conversation with his dad about it. Or, yeah, I feel like that happened. I'm positive.
The only time he ever sat down with his dad is he wasn't sure if he was going to date Condola because she was divorced. And his dad, gave him advice. And then he went and asked her out and actively pursued her. But that's the only time he sat down with his dad.
Well, somebody needs to sit his ass down.
I think too, and Chad and I cannot remember Tiffany's husband's name, but I feel like he actually, all things considered, actually has a good circle of guy friends. But I also think he needs a very grown ass man, like a dad, not his uncle, because his uncle's on some next shit.
Right.
His dad, somebody's dad, to sit him down and explain to him, here's the ins and outs of this situation, and here's what you can expect, and here's what you need to do to navigate around some of these things. I feel like a grown ass man would have been, quick to tell him the first 3-4 months, it's not really about you. And then it needs to be about the baby. And that if you want to be involved, then you need to, be an involved parent, not just I'm here on weekends and I show up to birthday parties with the baby, as a trophy in the carrier.
Child. That made me so when I saw that, I was like, it was so performative, which is very Lawrence, it's very Lawrence. Oh, everybody look at my new accessory, this cute little brown baby that I, see on the weekends. But that was really interesting to me in terms of, because Condola is the one who initiated oh, hey, should we go to this together?
Why did she even ask him that?
Going back to their first conversation about the baby, where she said this, wasn't ideal for her either, right? She wants to present that united front, right? She wants the pretty picture, just like Lawrence does. It's the same reason that, he's at the baptism and they took that picture together and the photographer says, let's get mom and dad, and they're all smiling and she looks up at Lawrence and it's this moment where you can tell she's okay, maybe we can do this. And I feel like Tiffany's baby's birthday party was the same moment of okay, we can present this united front. This is what I want us to be, right? They want to be the couple that walks in and Lawrence has the baby in the baby carrier perfectly. And, he says he's going to go feed the baby. And that's what they want. They just aren't doing any work to maintain the consistency of that.
Yeah, nobody wants to look like a fuckboy who just had an oops baby. Neither one of them. And I say fuckboy for her and for him. Nobody wants to look like you had an oops baby.
Exactly. And she doesn't want to just roll in again, there is no, I was raised by a single mom, a single mom by choice. Condola is not a single mom by choice. She's not. Right? This was not her ideal situation. So I think that she wants to look like this person who's walking in, I got this handsome baby daddy, this cute baby, we're doing it, we're figuring it out. They want that. They just have no clue how to actually get there because they don't talk for real. And I think that was behind her sort of wanting them to go.
Do you think it had anything to do with thinking that Issa would be there?
I don't think she's thinking about Issa, really, right now. I think it was more of her wanting that perfect nuclear family picture with him.
But I think that's the thing. It's like if it's a perfect family picture, it's a picture to show someone. So who is she showing?
Well, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But I feel like not just, I mean, Issa could be part of it, but I mean, she's showing everybody, like showing anybody, showing her coworker, showing like there is still so much which we don't get into. They don't get into it in the episode, but we know this living in real life. There's still so much shame and judgment around someone being a single mother.
A single
Absolutely.
Black mother specifically.
Exactly. So, I don't think she wants that. I don't think she wants to look like that because, again, she's not a single mother by choice, right? This wasn't her ideal situation. So I think, yeah, the picture could be for Issa. The picture could be for her mom, her sister, right? A wonderful Kiki Palmer in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Who is hating on Lawrence. Like it could be the picture for everyone to show them like, no, we're doing it. We're figuring it out. You might've thought this was, some fuckboy, fuck girl shit, but no, we're doing it. We got this healthy baby. We look good. We're out. He's feeding the baby when the baby needs to be fed. And of course he fucks it up by giving the baby something to eat, which was the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And his reaction to it, again, and this is where Lawrence's head is at, his reaction to it is to be in agitation with Condola, right? Not because he did the wrong thing, which he absolutely did. You don't just let a baby eat just any old effing thing when you haven't introduced solids yet. Like
he doesn't know because he never talked to anyone and never read anything or never did anything.
Clearly, he's never read a baby book. I mean, he said like, okay, the doctor said we can introduce solids anytime after 4 months. Yes, of course the doctor said that, but there is a way to introduce, just like the way that she said that to him is the exact thing I would say to somebody about it, right? Like, no, there's a way to introduce solids. And yes, it's not a joke. It's not funny because he's like, oh, what's the big deal? I don't know. Anaphylactic shock, dummy. Like the baby could have been allergic. What's wrong with you? Like literally, it's just so stupid. And he gets upset with her because again, it's all about him. Like, oh, she doesn't think I can parent. She doesn't think I can do this, Y, and Z. Because you just proved, dumb, that you can't.
From Wondery, Rich and Daily is a podcast packed with laughs that delivers your daily dose of the latest celebrity gossip. There's so much gossip these days that it's impossible to keep up. But you don't have to worry. Rich and Daily has you covered. Hosts Brooke Sifrin and Arisha Skidmore-Williams are comedians, besties, and the perfect guides to spill all the celebrity tea. They'll keep you up to speed on all the secrets, scandals, and news in the entertainment world. Is that rumor you heard about your favorite celeb true? If it is, you better believe Brooke and Arisha will have something to say about it. In a way that only best friends can, Brooke and Arisha give their take on the stories that have the entertainment world abuzz. Rich and Daily uncorks the rumors and will leave you laughing and wanting more. I love Rich and Daily. Brooke and Arisha are hilarious. Listen to Rich and Daily on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app. Feeling your best starts with what you eat. Sakara helps you to not just live a healthy, balanced lifestyle, but truly enjoy it with delicious plant-rich meals and functional wellness essentials that build a foundation for radiant health. Sakara is a wellness company anchored in food as a medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. Their nutritionally designed, chef-crafted breakfasts, lunches, and dinners are made with powerful plant-based ingredients that help boost your energy, support your digestion, curb your sugar cravings, and get your skin glowing. Plus, my favorite part, it's all delivered right to your door. Sakara has received rave reviews from Vogue, Goop, the New York Times, and more. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/ratchet or enter code RATCHET at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/ratchet to get 20% off your first order. sakara.com/ratchet. When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Did you know that your internet service provider knows every single website you visit? And what's worse is they can sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who will use your data to target you. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anyone. I use ExpressVPN on all my devices, phones, laptops, even routers, so everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can still be protected even if they don't have ExpressVPN. Now, I use ExpressVPN very often because I'm on the West Coast and I want to catch my TV on the East so I can watch it with everyone else and not see spoilers. And the best part is using ExpressVPN is as easy as closing the bathroom door. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. So if you're like me and you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/ratchet today. Use my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/ratchet, and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet.
Do you feel bad for him in any way at all?
No. I mean, no, I do. I do
Like,
feel
that was a
bad
quick
for
no.
him.
You're like, no. Okay.
I mean, I don't. Having had 2 children, like, I just, like you said earlier, him not realizing that, and again, it's because they're not together, because they haven't really discussed. Him not really realizing that newborn stage, your job as a father, first of all, your job as any parent during the newborn stage is to bond with the baby, right? Which he's trying to do. That I will give him.
On weekends.
Thank you. On the weekends. He's trying to bond with the baby. Great. Wonderful. I'm not going to freaking give you a gold star for that. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But your job also as a partner, whether you are with this woman or not, is to support mom, right? Because this is an incredibly difficult time for her. Yes, the baby is out of her body, but the baby is still very much of her body. And people don't realize that in that newborn stage. Literally in the newborn stage, a newborn doesn't know of itself as a different entity from their mother. The newborn still considers itself part of its mom at that time, right? And so, and she still very much feels this way. They call it the 4th trimester, right? Because, your baby's outside of your belly, but they're very completely still very much dependent on you. So your job as a dad, those first months, is just to support mom. And he doesn't want to do that. It goes back to him still feeling very resentful of her. And I think that that's why they have so many of these issues that keep bubbling up. Because it's like, yes, on the surface, they can be good for a minute, right? They can do show up at the baptism and take some pictures. But then he mentions taking a baby for a week. And she's like, what? And he's like, oh, it's just for a week. Negro, yes, a week does feel like a year when your baby's freaking life has been measured in weeks, dummy. Like, no, but they never had that conversation. So it's like, yeah, we can show up at the birthday party and look really cute, but we've never delved deeper into the resentment that we have towards one another and how we really feel about each other. They need a therapist for that.
They need a therapist for everything because they're in two entirely different places.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I respect, at the end, because, everyone's been on a plane that's had really bad turbulence and you're just like, oh shit, is this the end? Mm-hmm. And it does make you think about life or death and what's important and who's the first person that crossed your mind? Who do you wish you'd called and haven't, and things like that. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm projecting. But Lawrence, the plane has turbulence and it seems that he has a think about, the way he just handled himself with Condola, and he goes home and he calls. And to credit, she does answer. And they both acknowledge that what they're doing isn't working. So there's hope on the horizon that they're at least going to try to do something different.
listen, they got this whole baby forever, right? Like, not for the first, not for 18 years, like literally for the rest of your life, you are yoked to one another through this child. So this is only the first 3 months. They can course correct, right? Because they realize they are not on the right course right now. They can absolutely course correct, and it's going to take both of them to really, I think, dig deep into their relationship with one another. Not, they're obviously not in love, but this idea, and this goes back to the whole like single parent, baby mama thing. Like, you liked her before. It was like, not like y'all don't like each other. You know what I mean? Like, you liked her enough before to want to be in a relationship with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you two found something in one another that brought you together. Now you got this whole ass baby. So you have to find that thing again. You have to find a respect for one another. You have to love one another, not a romantic love, not an erotic love, but you do have to love one another. Just like she was saying, you don't check in. Like, she had to call Tiffany to take her to urgent care. Like, it's not just, oh, I deal with the baby, then you deal with the baby, and we pass it off like a basketball. Nah, we are a team, and they just have to really figure that out and have to sit down, and they need some outside counsel on that. Because you asked a question, you're like, is he paying child support? And I wonder, like, is he? Like, I don't know. All of that stuff has to be figured out. Like, have y'all done a will? Like, if something happens to you, or knowing Condola, she probably already has one. And I promise you, Lawrence ain't the one she leaving that baby to. They are.
That's not the first choice.
Not her first choice at all. They are acting like two completely separate entities, right? Coming to the situation, and they really do have to come together. And that's like an obvious thing you can say as a person on the outside looking in. And that's, when I'm making comments in this episode and talking to people about it who are like, well, why didn't she just do this and this and this? It's real easy from the outside to say that because we're looking at the situation. But when you're in it, I mean, they're both just trying to survive. Condola much more than Lawrence, who literally just gets to, be a dad on the weekends.
I will also say this, and in no way comparing like the sleep deprivation of a primary parent to Lawrence, but like if you're working your ass off, like say you're pulling 60 hours a week and you're hopping back and forth on a plane, like it's not like he's like getting the best rest and sleep and clear-headedness of his life either.
No, not at all. And I feel like Lawrence also, if we just think about his character and the growth of his character, when we met Lawrence, he was a couch Negro, right? Like, he had been employed for, I think, over a year.
Negro is so generous. Negro is such a generous term.
It is. I'm trying to be nice. Like,
I respect it. I respect it.
He I feel like has always been someone who thinks of himself one way, and maybe his life didn't match. You know what I mean? He wasn't being given the things that he thought he should be given, right? What was the whole argument that him and Issa were having the first season, where she was like, just apply for a job, get a job. And he's like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm too good for X, Y, and this. And it's like, Negro, are you too good for a check? Get it. Do something.
And like, too good for a job, but like comfortable with your girl paying all the bills, bruh.
Right. And I feel like in this situation, he's so very concerned with this idea. Well, like, oh, well, I'm not just a deadbeat. I'm not a deadbeat dad. Like, he has this idea, like, I'm not that. But what are you? Tell us what you're not. Tell us what you are. And I don't think he figured that out.
I think he wants the cookie and kudos that like Chris Rock talks about, is like, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you want to be applauded for that. Like, okay, you didn't go to jail. You weren't supposed to. Okay, you're trying to take care of your kid. Yes, you're supposed to. That's the bare minimum, sir. Like, you flying down on weekends to see the child that you created is the bare minimum.
Exactly.
And I don't think he sees it that way.
No, because he sees it as, oh, I'm trying really hard. This is hard for him. Yeah.
Everyone involved is trying really hard. She's trying really hard. Her sister's trying really hard because her sister looked exhausted too. And that ain't even her baby.
Yeah. Exactly. It's hard for everybody. That's the thing. And I feel like that's a constant, again, why I think it's so interesting the arguments they're having, because regardless of whether you are with your child's other parent are not, you're like people who live in the same household, right, are still having the argument of, oh, well, I had to work really hard today. Well, I had to work really hard today too. I had to do that. It's always that push and pull over this entire situation of parenting just being really, really hard, especially in a country where people don't have a ton of support, right? Like if Condola lived in, Sweden, she probably would have had somebody the government was paying for come over her house and do her laundry and watch the baby while she took a nap. You know what I mean? Like she would have got a year off paid. Like that stuff happens in other developed countries. It does not happen here. Here it is definitely like, peace out, you're on your own. Good luck to you.
Best of luck.
So, yeah. And
don't ask for shit. No handouts.
Right. And it's like, yeah, they're absolutely not in a good place, 3 months in, but they're not in the worst place. And they can definitely switch it up. And I think really what it's going to end up is our boy moving back to Los Angeles.
Back to LA. I have 3 more questions for you that don't have to do with Lawrence and Condola, at least not the baby situation. Was it weird for Issa and Molly not to be at the baby's first birthday?
Yes, that was very strange.
Okay.
To me, that was very strange.
Because I was like, they're a super tight friend circle. And I know that Tiffany and Tiffany and Kelly are closer, or they're like the 2 besties. And then Issa and Molly are the besties. And then they both come together as like a foursome. So I get it. But I was like, I get why Issa wouldn't want to be there, especially knowing that Condola, the baby, and likely Lawrence would be. I wouldn't want to see that either. But then I also would be like, it's my friend's baby's first birthday, and it's weird not to be there.
Get over it. No, it's weird. I feel like there were some comments that were like, oh, well, they're the single friends, so why would they be like, what? The first birthday, I get it if it was the baby's, 3rd or 4th birthday, but the first birthday is a huge deal culturally, right? Like you made it. You, mom and dad, you made it through. Like, honestly, I think at the end of the season, we might see Condola and Lawrence at their baby's first birthday, right? Like, mom and dad, you made it through. Also, baby, you are still alive. Like, the first birthday is a celebration for the community, not just for the parents. Absolutely not for the baby. The baby don't know what's going on. The first birthday is not for the baby. The first birthday is for the parents. So I was actually very shocked that Issa and Molly weren't there because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we just stopped inviting like all of our friends, including, our single friends, to their birthday parties. But their first parties, we absolutely, well, not Robin's because hers was during the pandemic, but Sally's first birthday, that was a turn up. That was a turn up. That was a party. That was not a kid's party. That was a turn up. And so I was very surprised that Molly and Issa were not there. In my mind, like maybe they were there and we just didn't see it. I was like, did they come early? Did they come later? Like, but I couldn't imagine that Tiffany would not have invited them. And that if they had been invited, they wouldn't go.
Also, I remember I was reading somebody, because I was asking like, why weren't they there? And someone was like, well, single people sometimes feel triggered about like coming to birthday parties or first birthday parties because it's like a family and a kid and they don't have like a spouse or a partner and a child and blah, blah, blah. I also had to think about this. I've been to a bunch of baby showers. I cannot remember ever going to a first birthday. Not that a bunch of my friends have kids, but I wasn't at Sally's. Maybe because I was living in New York. I don't know.
No, you weren't here. I don't think you were here, but there were definitely single people at Sally's birthday. Like, especially if it's like if your baby calls one of your good friends auntie something and means
she should be at the party.
She should be at the goddamn party. Right? Yeah. Like that part of it was very surprising to me. And again, I think as they get older, then once the first birthday party is not for the baby. The baby has no clue what's going on. The first birthday party is for the parents and the community. And that is why I was honestly really shocked. Like, I didn't want to see like some weird showdown between them, but I was kind of gearing up for it. And maybe they didn't write that in because they didn't want the episode to be about Issa at all, right? They wanted the episode to be about Lawrence and Condola, but her absence was definitely felt. I don't think it was just why would Issa be there? Because it's, because that's her homegirl. Like, I'm sorry, were Issa and Molly not part of the crew that like help save Tiffany from postpartum runaways? Like, come on. That's their good friend. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, definitely Kelly, because Kelly's the baby's godmommy, but it didn't really make sense for Issa and Molly not to be there. Or even Molly. I mean, I guess Molly, if Issa didn't want to go, maybe Molly was not going out of like some weird solidarity. But it's like, come on, guys.
Maybe she need to be with Issa to like support Issa. Because I mean, it could be a meltdown situation. It could be I've had meltdowns over less.
Listen, I have like in real life, I have been in that situation where I was with a very close friend at a barbecue and her ex showed up with his current girlfriend and his older son. It was this whole weird thing. And it was definitely this weird, like, yeah, she was triggered. Like it was not a good situation. Yeah, but we were also like 22 at the time. Like y'all grown, having babies, being married, starting businesses, becoming partner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to get over like silly emotional stuff.
I don't know. I had a full meltdown. I want to say I was like 30. No, I was 30. I was the age of the characters. I was 30. Yeah. In a similar situation. We weren't in a relationship. We were on the outs, but we were always like a thing. And he got someone pregnant and he called me. I guess she was like 6 months or so. And he called me and I was like, I can't process because like I have to do all this other shit. And just put it on the back burner. And then like one day it just hit me and I had like a full down meltdown. Like my mother had to come up from DC to console me because she was like, you're not okay. Like I'm on my way.
But you didn't see him?
No.
Okay.
But even after that, like, I mean, they didn't stay together very long, but he wanted me to, he called me and asked me if we could have lunch, maybe like, I don't know, a year and a half, like baby was like 18 months or so, not even 2, but he wanted to have lunch or whatever. And I was like, okay. And I was like, would you have to come to Brooklyn? And for anybody listening, I'm talking about him, by the way. He asked if he could, take me to lunch or whatever, lunch, brunch, whatever. And I said, okay. And so then he called me and he was like, okay, we're on our way. I said, who is we? And he was like, me and my son. And I was like, I'm not sitting at lunch with you and your son. No. I mean, I get it. That's your son. It's a part of your life. But he should be a part of your life. He can't be a part of my life. And I don't think you can either. Because like, clearly I can't accept your kid at this point. So you need to go be over there.
Well, I'm glad that he told you he was bringing the baby before he just showed up with
Girl, if he showed up with that baby and that would have been, do we have video on phones yet? That would have been like world star. Like that would have been bad. That would have been bad, bad, bad. Can we talk about I want to say, I think she's the unsung hero of this episode, our friend Kelly.
Yes.
I've always liked Kelly, but when Kelly hit Lawrence with the, what did she say? Everyone I know is in abundance. I wrote the quote down.
Yes.
Where is it? I need to find it because it was such a good quote.
All I remember is she said limitless. And it was just like, all right, Kelly, that's a friend. That is a friend. Get you a friend who will read your ex in the classiest way possible.
Everyone I associate with is thriving in abundance. Limitless.
Yes.
No names, no details, no shade. Just know that everyone I associate with, including the woman you're asking about, not by name, thriving in abundance. Limitless.
Limitless.
Yo, I was like, anytime someone asked me, I was like, that might just be my new answer. Hey, D, how you doing? I am thriving in abundance. Limitless.
Limitless. And it's like, did she prepare that? Because knowing Kelly, knowing Kelly, that came like straight off the dome.
It just came through her. Yes.
And it was just like, get you a friend that is going to do that. She didn't ignore it. She didn't just say like, everyone's fine. She was like, no, I'm going to let you know. Yeah, you fucked it up, bro.
You fucked up. You fucked up.
You did.
You could have had a good life. You chose otherwise.
You
Make of
messed
it
it
what you
up.
will.
Right. But don't worry, she ain't thinking about you.
She's not all right. She's thriving in
Yes.
abundance. Limitless.
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 Yes, that was class. It was so classic Kelly.
That's
who
up there with
apparently has
like
a
blessed
podcast.
and highly favored.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
But Kelly's awesome. I love Kelly's character, especially as, and it's funny that like Kelly and Tiffany would be the besties, right? Because Tiffany's so bougie and, you know, whatever
They
Tiffany
balance.
is, you know, yeah, they're just like and Kelly is just quirky, off the cuff. Like, I am not concerned with what people think of me. Mostly, even though we saw a little bit in that first episode that she is a little bit concerned about how people view her, but she's just gonna do her. And yeah, I love it. And yeah, that baby, that baby needs Kelly. With the mother
That
like
baby does need
Tiffany,
Kelly.
that baby needs Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, and it's something about like Tiffany and her husband. I feel so bad. I could not remember this man's name.
Derek.
Derek. Boom. There we go. Tiffany and Derek. But I think they're also a testament of like, not necessarily why a couple needs to be married, because it's not for everyone. I totally get that. But why a baby has two parents, because they have good
Yes.
balance. Because Tiffany's
Yes.
out of her mind, but Derek is like, you know, he's level headed and even.
Yes.
And he
Absolutely. And then
balances
when
her
Tiffany,
very well.
and we saw it last season when Tiffany was going through postpartum depression and was just not handling it well, which a lot of women go through. You know, Derek was just like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm stepping in. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I am here physically to be able to do that. Now, you do not have to be married to be there physically for your child. They just happen to be. But yes, they're a very good example of just a dude. Derek in general is like, I think the growth that we've seen with them as a couple, like in the first season, like he just seemed like he was just like some henpecked, whipped, you know, I'm just here so I don't get fined type husband. But that's not really, over the seasons we've seen, that's really not who he is. He has thoughts, right? You know what I mean? He has thoughts. He's deep in his own way. He knows how to balance her out. He loves this woman for every reason that he would love her, and he's going to make sure he is showing up for the places that he needs to show up for. Yeah, I like Derek's character a lot.
And last but not least, certainly not least, no one's really talking about this woman, and I feel like she's very important. The woman that Lawrence went on the date with, and he gets that text and is like, you know, my baby was just born, and she's like, oh, ha ha ha, and he's like, no, and then throws money on the table and runs out. Can you imagine being that single woman on that date with a man who does that? That's traumatizing.
Especially in San Francisco, ma'am. And I have some single friends, or have had single friends that live in San Francisco, where it can be hard out here for a pimp. And you find yourself, or at least, and the thing is, the date wasn't going well because Lawrence is a cornball. So it wasn't going great anyway. But then as soon as it sort of starts to vibe, he's like, oh, by the way, I got this baby on the way. I would be so pissed off at my girl who introduced us, because they made it clear that someone introduced the two of them. So either that person didn't know Lawrence had a baby. So now I'm thinking, does anybody know? In his new San Francisco life, does anyone know that Lawrence has a baby?
There's no indication whatsoever. Like, no. I would probably guess no.
No, right? Because it's his secret life. It's like he like puts on, you know, it's like his secret identity. He gets to go to San Francisco and be single, you know, hipster, cool San Francisco guy, and then goes down to LA to be quote unquote responsible. And it's like a split personality. And that, no, sir. And do we think the girl that he had the date with, I couldn't tell, was that the same girl he was doing it to?
I think so.
You think it's,
it doesn't zoom in enough on her face to tell.
Right.
Because I actually went to like look and see, and I was like, oh, did she fuck him after that?
Yes. And if that's the case, then I want to be like, girl, I want to pull her to side and be like, girl, unless you're positive this is just like some fuck buddy situation, you better run for the hills.
I want to send her Summer Walker's new album. That's what I want to do. I want to send her the new Summer Walker album. Be like, sis, your fate could be this. Like,
Don't do it.
learn from the mistakes of others, please.
Don't date him, girl. Don't date him, girl. Yeah, I'm really like when I was looking, I was like, wait, she looks a lot like her, like same skin tone. She had long hair. I was like, if that is the girl, and she know this Negro got a full like baby. What is you doing? No, like he can date. People are like, oh, well, he could date. Like him and Condola aren't together. He could date. Okay, great, he could, but who?
Is it a good idea?
Yeah, and who wants to date you, boo?
Well, what
Because
I kept saying to people, and it was like, I'm not having like some, like a moral whatever, or feel like he needs to be monogamous to this woman because she has his child. And I was like, no, it's more like I have made this life altering decision that I didn't plan for. I have now tied myself to someone that at the moment I don't even like for the rest of my life. I've nuked bombed this relationship that I was in with a woman that I loved, that I really wanted. Like your life, because as he put it, is like, bombed and has fallen apart. You have no business dating. You need to sit your ass down and like do some self-evaluation, do some, I don't know, some shadow work, get a therapist.
Yes.
Like go work on yourself, or just on a very like, basic, which should be obvious, but clearly isn't level. Actually plan for your baby and create like a co-parenting situation with the mother of your child.
No, because he thinks he can just drop in and be single and be, San Francisco Lawrence. And
San Francisco Lawrence, who like also like, hipster black, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he also gets to play ideal black man with 6-figure job at, growing tech company, $4,000, $5,000 a month apartment, because San Francisco is nuts, with degrees and no kid.
Right.
So you can walk around like, oh, I'm like this ideal black man and I check all these boxes, and I'm hiding all my baggage from, I don't want to call it a baby baggage, but the situation, this completely intense, ridden with conflict situation, you can just pretend it doesn't exist until the weekend.
Exactly. And that's the thing, it's just like, it's not that, again, it's not, someone made the comment like, oh, well, if it was Condola going out on dates, we'd be applauding her. Like, yeah, because Condola's the one who actually needs a break. Like, she's the one who actually needs to freaking release some pressure. But the idea
actually, I would have the same issue with her dating as well. Dating while pregnant and then dating while like, a newborn mom, especially in the midst of all this conflict. You too are making decisions that like, are not aligned with what you wanted for your life. Like, okay, it happens. We all don't make perfect decisions, but at what point do you sit down and be like, okay, like something is going on with me where I'm making these life altering decisions and I'm not thinking things through clearly and I need to do better.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And saying that to people, like I was talking to like back and forth about this concept on Facebook, and people were like, "That's not realistic." And I was like, "Is it not?"
I mean,
is it not?
Be. That's the thing. It's like, if it's not, it should be.
It should be, because I was like, otherwise, how do you get up out of a fucked up cycle? Which like I've been in, but like, how do you get out of a fucked up cycle if you don't ever sit down, reevaluate, self work, like talk to yourself in the mirror, like something? But if you don't do anything, then how do you stop doing the things that are fucking up your life?
I mean, it's exactly what the work Molly has been doing, right?
Thank you.
Like, it is exactly the work Molly has been doing. And we saw it when she had the conversation with her mom, who was trying to set her up with that herb. And it was just like, she had to sit there and think like, she was like, I'm just doing me right now. I'm trying to like evaluate all the stuff that's led me to this point. And she's done a lot of that self-work. It looks like, at least, that she's come out of the other side of it. And that's what we all should be doing as adults. Like, this entire season, Issa has said, is about growth. They're all supposed to be growing, right? It's not growth just to have a baby. That's literally just naturally, like, you get pregnant, the baby is going to, and keep the baby, it is going to come out of your body. That's not the growth. The mental growth has to be some kind of self-work, which you should be doing if you are going to be somebody's mama, if you are going to be somebody's daddy. These people, the people that we're following, thankfully, in this show, have the privilege to actually pause and do those things, right? We're not talking about, a single teenage mom without a high school diploma, or, you know what I mean? Someone who really has to struggle just for the day-to-day. Like, the day-to-day is a Herculean effort. Like, we are talking about educated, gainfully employed, homeowners,
Health
they
insurance.
need, thank you. Like, they need to be doing the work.
The work.
And they can, and they see it. And hopefully, I mean, clearly they see it. It didn't pop into Lawrence's head until he almost died flying to San Francisco. And I wonder if that hadn't have happened, what would he have done? Would he have called her? Would he have realized how wrong he was?
No, because he wasn't doing anything to get himself to that point. He was just going through the motions. He would have gone back to dating and fucking and flying down on weekends and being unclear until something eventually, he either makes the same mistake again. Because I think we all know people or know of people who have like multiple children with multiple women, and it's like you didn't learn from the first baby mama you hated, or the second, or the third. Hello, Future.
Like, he can date. They're not together. Oh, okay, Future. That's how you get ghetto twins. Like, come on now. Like, just take a break. Let your peen have a break.
Let it breathe.
It's okay.
Let it breathe.
Like, what did Lovey say? She used to call Stevie J Groupon peen. Like, just take it off the market. Take it off the market for a minute. That's all right.
Like, sex will still be there when you return.
It absolutely will. It absolutely will. It absolutely will.
I don't know. I think a lot of people mistake time passing for growth, and they're not the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's going to happen regardless. That is going to happen. We can't stop it.
Yes.
But literally sitting and thinking about the decisions that you make. And again, I'm like, okay, he's taking these girls out. Again, is he paying child support? Like, is he putting money in a 529, whatever you have in California? I do not know. Like, but you can, like, you can spend all this money whining and dining chicks, popping bottles, but can't, getting Airbnbs or wherever he was going to take that baby overnight. Like, come on.
Do his parents live in LA? Like, I was really trying to figure out, is he taking the baby to the parents' house? Like, where is he taking this baby?
I don't think they do. For some reason, I think he is from California, but not LA. Maybe I made that up. But no, because he said that the house was like walking distance. So I literally think he just like rented a house just
down
to take
the street
the baby
from
for
her
a night, which is the stupidest thing ever. Because again, it just points to the fact that they're not doing it together. It's just like, oh, well, you be here, I be there. And it's like, no, if you really want to like learn how to take care of this human with me, you could do it here in the guest bedroom. Like, you could just take over and the baby can have all his creature comforts and I can get this good sleep.
We really letting him stay in the house though? I don't know if I'm letting him stay in my house.
I would.
You think so?
I would.
This is why I don't have
Only
kids.
because I don't want you taking my baby nowhere.
Fair. You put the baby first. Fair. Spoken like a good mother. No, I'm putting my baby first. You're going to be right here, so my baby ain't going nowhere. I'm asleep, and if something happens, knock on his door and wake me up.
Exactly. Like I say, in that new mommy fog, that makes sense. Now, mine are 4 and 2 now. You could take them somewhere.
Like, I'll drop them off.
Take them. But 3 months, you ain't taking my baby nowhere. A damn place. I don't care what car seat you got. Is Jesus driving the car?
Nope. You're so funny. But that is all of my insecure questions and conversation for you. You've been lovely.
This was fun. I miss you, friend.
I miss you too, friend. What are you working on now?
So I just finished my 3rd book.
Ooh.
It's called The Mamas, Parenting in the Age of a story of parenting in the age of everything. So it's part memoir, part reported piece, part analysis of what it's like being a Black middle class. And I say it like that because I didn't grow up middle class, so I just never see myself as it. Mm-hmm. Black middle class parent in a rapidly gentrifying DC during a pandemic and a quote unquote racial reckoning and all those things, and just like what it means. So it's like joining the mom groups, the fact that the mom group and the people in this neighborhood are mostly white, and what that felt like. And I think a lot of people have gone through that. And then my relationship with my own mother, just trying to just square what it is like to be a Black mother right now and where I am. So that comes out in the summer.
Love. I remember when you first started working on that, when it was just like an idea in your head, like, I'm thinking about maybe I will. I love that it's almost here.
The craziest thing about this project as a memoir is because I'm writing about people in the neighborhood that we currently live in, right? Like, and so I've sent some chapters to, the white mom friends that I have that I'm close with who are in my group. And I was just like, listen, just want you guys to kind of fill out what this is. All the characters are composites, like, blah, blah, blah. And the response so far has been really overwhelmingly positive. So it's something I'm really proud of. I'm really excited.
Because my next question was like, are you staying in that neighborhood after you right. share all your real feelings about the moms there?
You still gonna live
like,
there?
Are y'all moving after this book comes out? Okay.
We are staying. Like, I love this place. And I think one of the things that I think is really interesting about the neighborhood that we live in that's very analogous to places all over the country is that they're changing. So like this neighborhood used to be an all Black neighborhood, and then it got real hot in the streets, and now there's $1 million flips. You know what I mean? And just like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does it feel like when you're raising a Black child in those sorts of environments? So yeah, we will see. That comes out. It is a perfect book to become a Netflix series. I'm gonna put that out there and keep putting that out there because I think that should happen. But that comes out in the spring, and we are staying. And also just working on other things. I'm still at the Post where I do features in the pop culture department, and that's been super fun, and I love the place. And at the same time, I'm doing other stuff, working on other stuff. I always got an idea for a book. I feel like I'm always writing a book. That's just going to be the rest of my life.
I mean,
which is good. It's a good
a
place
writer.
to be.
You should be writing. Note to self. Note to self. I need to be writing.
Ma'am.
I have a podcast. It takes up a lot of time. I get a lot of thoughts off on here.
Okay.
I know. That means nothing. I know. My agent is listening to this podcast right now. Like, where's the proposal? Where's the proposal?
I feel like you're working on something. I feel like you posted something on Facebook about working on something specifically.
I'm working on two different things.
Having an idea.
No, yeah. I'm in the middle of writing two different proposals that are very different. Like, one is a memoir. The other one is like fantasy fiction about like a Black woman who goes on an odyssey and, has a bunch of sex. Which is not what I'm doing on my own odyssey, just FYI. It's just, it's the fantasy of what my odyssey could be.
Okay. Eat, pray, doing it. Okay, well, I want to eat both. I want to read both.
Sure. I would love that. All right, my love. I'm headed to edit this. This was great. You need to come back. Please come back and talk about your book in the spring when it comes out, because I would love to talk about like mommyhood and gentrification of DC and all of those things.
Yeah, that DC life. When galleys are ready, I will send you and just let me know.
Thank you.
All right, girl. Thanks. This was awesome.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't you love her? I love her. She's literally one of my favorite humans, and I suck. Literally, we haven't spoken in forever. So I'm glad we were able to catch up. I'm glad she was able and willing to share her insights about Insecure with us. So let me know what you think about Insecure and the episode. You can't DM me, but you can send me emails, and you can comment on social. I usually post at least an announcement when there's a new episode on all of my social pages. So you can weigh in there if you like. You're welcome to. Otherwise, I'll be back on Friday to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. That Kanye interview, the tragedy at the Travis Scott Festival. Isn't there something else? Oh, Will Smith in that Oprah interview. But we'll talk about all of that on Friday. This Insecure episode was just too good to wait. So we'll talk again soon. And then on Friday, I should have a merch drop date for you. Thank you so much for your patience while I sort this thing out. It's my first time doing it on my own without the production manager. It's very good for me that I learned how to do all the processes, but it has been a learning curve. I think we've worked out most of the kinks in this part of the process. I know how to do the other part, the shipping, very, very well. All right, we will talk again on Friday. Okay, bye.